have a quick round of intros and then we'll get started. Okay. So myself, Avinash Mahalingam, I've actually been a sales leader for almost 6 years in my life. And after that, did my MBA from the US, got into the world of technology, product management, worked at Amazon for about 4.5 years, and then another 2.5 years or so as an AI product leader at RBC. Been coaching and consulting for the last 3 years. Had the opportunity to transform about 100 to 120 plus people's careers, which is always something that I hold very dearly to my heart. As part of my organization, we now continue to create new courses for people. We have one in the world of AI product management, and I'm working very closely with Raji, the extremely talented Raji. We're working on a course for tech sales together. And Raji will now give a quick introduction about herself, and then Raji, you can take over the presentation from here.
Thank you, Avinash. First of all, thank you so much for everyone who joined and who might be watching the recording as well. So, myself, Raji, I'm an AI and automation advisor. So, my current role is customer success manager. Although it is a customer success manager, it is also a part of the sales organization. And I've been in this sales organization for 4+ years right now. Before moving into this technical sales and technical architect based customer success roles, I have a background of tech background of like more than 15+ years. And out of my entire close to 20 years of journey, if I have to pick one role which I really enjoy, is like the tech sales engineering and the sales engineering roles is what I would say. That's the reason I wanted to actually share what I've learned, and also open up doors for people who are trying to break into tech, whether you are an early professional hire or like a mid professional, or somebody who's actually trying to do a career pivot, or someone who is actually trying to come back after a break, etc. Right. So this is a really fascinating space, and I'm so glad to actually share my learnings with you all today. With that, let's quickly jump into the agenda. Okay, so the quick agenda here is like you may see a whole lot of list, but then I'll try to break it down and simplify and make it more consumable to you, and in an easy to go format. If you have any questions in between, feel free to actually put your questions in the chat. And also we have a dedicated time at the end for Q&A. So we will take questions at the end as well. So let's start with the agenda of what's unique about this role. And then we'll quickly jump into what is the pathway? Why am I even pursuing this? How is it going to translate this to me in a longer run? Where is it going to take me, right? So, and then what are some of the myths and realities, right? So people might think, technical sales is sales, right? So I wanted to break things down into saying hey, this is something where engineering also is involved, and what does it mean to me, to you? And what is a day in a life? What do I do personally in a day in a life? Break it down into multiple chunks and give you a perspective of what goes. And then what are the key things that is required, right? So key things that are required to move your to grow in this career is number one, storytelling, be a trusted advisor. Number three is handling objections and building an amazing demo which can actually resonate with multiple different personas with whom you will interact, whether it is an enterprise or a medium or large scale organizations, right? So these are some of the important aspects that I do in a day in a life. So I'm going to break it down and explain you every single thing. And then finally, what are the additional skills that is required, right? So because these skills will actually set you up for success, although it is not directly actually applied, some of the soft and the hard skills, these are necessary for you to be successful and set you up for success. So I'm going to touch upon that, and then we will actually talk about the next steps and Q&A. So that's the quick agenda. So let me jump into what is unique about and what is this about tech sales or a solution engineer role, right? So this science of tech sales engineering it's one of the career where it actually blends the technology, business acumen, and also the communication. So what does that mean, right? See, in certain roles, let's say a developer or a QA, an analytical skill might be required as a basic skill or a required skill for a QA. But whereas from a developer, you need a data science engineer, data principles, or like a programming knowledge or debugging skills. These are required, right? But then if you look at this tech sales engineering, it needs a balance of three different skill sets. You need technology, you need the business acumen, and also you need the communication. Remember the fact the roles that are purely software engineering or pure developers or QA, these are massively getting automated. So it's all going to be like agent driven or AI augmented, right? So, but then if you look at this tech sales engineer who is actually helping a sales cycle to move from one point to the another point and moving the needle from a propose to a negotiate to close, it does not just involve technology, it involves all three key elements together. So which means it's extremely hard to actually replace someone who is performing this role. So if you want to be indispensable, if you want to stay relevant in the market, then pick a career which needs human involvement, which cannot be directly replaced by or like augmented by or like drastically cut down by the AI agents, right? So that's the key message I would like to call it out and tell, what is this unique thing about tech sales engineer, right? So that's let's break it down and see what is the where does this tech sales engineer fit in the whole gamut, right? How people actually come from different directions of the pathway and move in here. So me personally, as a person, I have a technical background and I moved into tech sales engineering. But if you ask me, does everyone needs this kind of a background? Where do I start from? Who is it for this role, right? So you can come from either a technical background, that's number one, and number two, you could also come from a business background, right? So you could be a person who's sitting in procurement, you could be a person sitting in finance or anywhere, right? So any of this, from any of this place, you could actually move into tech sales engineering role, right? So you could be a SDR, or you could be a business development person, or you could be some other role who is basically influencing the market decisions. So decision makers, you're closely working with these decision makers. And number three is somewhere you fit in, you're performing an enablement, or you are a teacher, or you are a person who is actually into the marketing. Real estate agent is one such example, right? So you're more into the sales and marketing space. So you could come from any background and start with the tech sales engineer role. And then you could transform into any different directions as well. So one such example is you could move from sales engineering role into customer success, where you focus on actually amplifying the net recurring revenue, or amplifying your expansion opportunities, because the moment you win a big deal, the next step is to expand, right? So every phase or every part of the sales cycle have a different need. So you could transform into that direction and move into the leadership pathway, or you could actually continue to actually get into the sales engineering and move into the leadership in the sales engineering itself. So there are plenty of pathways, and you could also even explore product management, just like Avinash is an expert in product space, right? So you could transform into any of these space. The beauty of this is, once you enter here, you can be fitting into any bucket, so which makes you even more future proof, right? So why would you get into a space which is something going to become irrelevant soon, or going to be replaced with agents, or the automation is going to actually make the growth prospects slower, right? So instead, explore a path which actually can open up multiple doors and also actually cannot be replaced easily, right? Because it needs not just the technology, it needs a technology as well as business acumen, and also the communication skill, which is just the human touch involvement, which cannot be replaced, right? So the relationship building has to be done by the human. It cannot be done by agents directly. So let's break down some of the myths and realities of tech sales, right? So these sales engineering roles does not mean you go and do complete selling. Like, you are not a person who is responsible for completing the sale, or you are not a person who is responsible for even finding the customers whom you need to sell. That is a responsibility of a seller. So again, next myth I wanted to break is, your job is not just always about closing the deal or making the sale happen. That happens as part of the overall process. But your job is to make the customer satisfied, solve a business problem, be a trusted advisor, right? So that's where your win is actually calculated. And the myth is you don't need technical skills. No, you need technical skills, but you need the technical skills in a way you are able to understand the technology and also translate that into a business lingo and explain how that's going to solve the problem, right? So, and then fast talking the deals, you are responsible to finish the deal this quarter. No, there is no pressure put on sales engineers to perform any such kind of activities. Typically, it is the sales team, the seller, who's responsible for that, and the sales engineering team is responsible to be a trusted advisor and do the right thing to the customer and give the messaging in a clear and crisp way. Right. So I would like to talk about these 2 pointers that I have highlighted. So the tech sales is not about pushing the products, it's about solving the business problem and being a trusted advisor. Again, I would like to call out and look at overall a massive number of startups that are coming up, massive number of companies that are getting founded, with this explosion of vibe coding, with this explosion of multiple products coming into the market in an accelerated pace. There is going to be a demand for a lot of B2B softwares to be sold, and also to be ensure that there is a recurring revenue comes in from the customers. So the tech sellers are really needed to actually either capture the market and also to expand the market overall in the coming years. And this is a golden moment, right? So I would say, so if you look at the .com or the World Wide Web explosion, this is even more bigger than that, is what the industry leaders are predicting. So let's summarize this, right? I would like to say, in this role, you don't need to code, or you don't need to code from start to finish, but you need to still understand how the systems work, and also take up existing demos, or tweak some of the existing demos or systems that are already there according to the customer's need, and build down the technical concepts and break it down and communicate in a very clear and confident way. So all that you need to do is to master what you need from a customer standpoint and communicate it in a bold and confident. So that's the crux of it, right? So this role essentially needs these 3 qualities: communication, clarity, and confidence. So with these 3 C's, you will be able to excel in this role. So imagine you are a person who really likes to be in front of the customer and in front of the audience, and then talk about what you have learned. And at the same time, you do not like teaching, or you do not like to be actually doing the same thing again and again, right? So you want the pleasure of actually learning something new every single day, and adapting to the needs of the industry, and then showcasing it to the end user in a consumable way, and they like it, and they actually go ahead and purchase the product as the end result. It's not the whole purpose, it's the end result, right? So that's this role. So I hope you got a clear understanding of what this role and what it is actually needed as part of this role. So what I did was we ran a quick survey in LinkedIn, and we captured some of the interest from existing practitioner and also people who wanted to actually break into the tech sales space, right? So there are four qualities or like four outcomes that I was listed. Basically, in this role, what is that aspires you? What is that actually would attract you to pick up this role, right? One thing which stood out here is the a blend of technology plus business. I'll be honest with you, in my 20 years of career, being a woman and also handling so much of bias in this world from as an immigrant person who are moved, etc. This one quality, which is the tech plus business blend, have helped me actually stay unique and position myself up for a promotion without any challenges. So this is a secret sauce. If you're able to learn this in the early part of your career, it's going to actually help you forever in winning this game. All right, so next, this is a very interesting piece, right? So day in a life of a tech sales engineer. So how does my day look like? So I'm literally telling you guys what I do every day, day in and day out, right? So number one, what I do is the technology discovery. So the moment there is an interest figured out by the seller that there is a need for or a business problem identified for a customer, they bring in like a tech seller to understand and discover what is this technology can actually solve their problem. So we basically run deep dive sessions with them to get an understanding. Do they need an AI agent here, or do they need a workflow here, or they just need an ETL job here, or they just need a dashboard here, or do they have, what is their current landscape? We don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? Can they use existing investments that they have already made in terms of the components and the tools that they have? So how does it actually can solve their problem, or how should they actually look at future proofing their roadmap so that they gain their customer, they don't lose their customer, the churn doesn't happen for them. Like, let's say for example, credit card company, how can I actually improve their credit card business, right? So anything, right? So this technical discovery is one of the places where the tech sales engineers get involved. And number two is the product demo. So this product demo, like, imagine you are actually telling you're a movie director, and you're telling a story to your producer, and you're convincing him to actually be a producer, right? So it's exactly the same scenario. So you are doing this product demo, which is essentially a storytelling, and the story has to win the hearts, and the story has to actually win the business sense, and it has to actually solve the problem, and it has to be relevant, it has to be current in the industry, right? So these are the things that are required when you are actually building a demo, and when you're actually performing a demo, and then end it in a with a takeaway, right? So I have, if you ask me, when I started, did I stumble upon? Did I fail? Or did I actually had an imposter syndrome? Yes, I did had everything, right? So, but then I was able to overcome that after with so much of practice and certain techniques and frameworks, and then tools which I can use in practice, and then even just a simple standing in front of a mirror and speaking, people might judge me. Okay, I don't care. so that's the aspect of this product demos, right? So that's one thing which I do every single day. So at least I run product demos, which is straight through demos or custom demos or tailored demos, at least 3 to 4 demos in a week. And sometimes it might be longer workshops as well, right? So next is the solution design. This solution design is basically, how is the larger picture? How can I actually help the customers to actually build a roadmap and make them successful, right? So these are the architectural solution design aspect which we need to bring in. And if we don't know, we need to collaborate, right? So again, I will explain and share how this can work in a collaborative as well as an individual standpoint. And all that it needs is the interpersonal skills a lot of interpersonal skills to bring people into the table and get the buy-in actually to even to sell the solution. I'll just give you a quick example of, like, if somebody from an enterprise who has to buy a product, it is not signed off by one single party. So it has to be signed off by multiple stakeholders, starting from procurement. Does this buy make sense? Starting from architecture, does this architecturally fit? And risks team, like, is it actually violating any of my risk, or my GDPR is actually met, or is my, like, the data residency is met? Like, so there are so many parties whom you need to talk to and convince them in terms of, like, hey, this is a perfect solution for you. Remember, you are not actually doing a teeny tiny $20, $50, $100 sale. You are actually doing a $500,000 or $1 million about deals that you are actually trying to sell. So you need to be actually equipped enough to actually have that control over, like, yes, my product can meet all of these criteria, and you should be well ahead and prepare and have the homework done already, and be ready with all the responses, etc. And finally, number 4 is the proof of concept, right? So the proof of concept is basically is like to make that final needle move and make, like, the sale getting closed, right? So there is a potential human element here that gets involved, as, like, you might actually tell everything in a story in a deck, or you might actually show things in a POC. But end of the day, when people see their own problem solved and working in a happy path, built out as a POC, the eyes spark and the needle moves faster. So that's the reason you should know how to actually build a quick POC faster, or at least if we need to put together a team and bring in, like, that's something we need to do it together to deliver a POC, right? So again, sales engineers are brought in to quickly build those POCs as well. So I will break down, like, more in the upcoming sessions in the actual training, how these POCs are built in very short period of time. I'm talking about, when I say short period of time, it's not in, like, months, it's like weeks, like, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you should be able to, like, build a POC and, like, showcase and finish it off and come out. All right. So, okay. So this is my day in a life. And how does the career progression looks like, right? So you start off as an associate, so as a sales engineer. So this is not a traditional software developer sort of a growth pattern, but the growth pattern here in sales is accelerated. When I say accelerated, typically the promotions or the role progression can easily be achieved. Number 1, you show the results. Number 2, you are able to actually upskill and you have the necessary skill set to perform the next role. That's it. You will be able to move faster. There is no pyramid. There is not much of a hurdles that you need to pass, unlike in a traditional delivery organization, right? So you are capable, you are showing results, and the company needs you. That's it, period. So which means you can actually move into next roles even within a short span of 18 months. It's quite possible. So that's the way the industry operates, and that's the way the direction in which it goes. Like, you can see, like, Meta is hiring principal machine learning engineers, like, who are going to be, like, helping, or, like, you can see Palantir's forward deployed engineers, right? So, like, they are not, like, someone who is, like, decades of experience. You will find such roles still with the reasonable skill set that is required, and they are ready to hire. And next, one of the key important skill set that is required is the storytelling. And I don't want to dig deep into the storytelling piece. Just at a high level is, like, understand the situation. For example, like, if you're actually talking to a banking customer, you should be able to speak about the banking problem, or, like, bring in a recent news that has actually impacted banking as an industry, or, like, read out their latest investor presentation, or like the a report that they have given to the market update, and you should be able to talk about that. Or like if they have already done that discovery session, and then we know the persona who is coming into the discussion, and do a research about them, and then like compile what is that your thought process, and what is your value that you're bringing into them, and what kind of resolution you suggest, right? It doesn't have to actually solve, or like you don't need to provide a complete solution, but then the point of view, the storytelling of like how others are doing and how they can do, and how this knowledge can actually be translated in their landscape, and then like showcasing past use cases is something really powerful, and people love it, and they actually engage with you. So these stories will make you as an interesting person, a resourceful person, and attract people to start having that engagement and consultation with you. All right, so next is the building the technology muscle. So we need communication, we need the business acumen, we need the storytelling capabilities, but then that does not mean we don't need technology. You still need technology. And if you ask me, do I need a technology experience, be a developer for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years? No, that's not what you are measured on. You are measured on whatever the skills required for this role. That's it. Right. So you don't need to be a cloud architect, but you need to understand how the cloud works, and be a practitioner at the level of a practitioner is good enough, right? So you try out and build a couple of POCs and build a couple of implementations, and gain knowledge from others, and get the required training and certification. That's it, right? So that will actually get you to the level of whatever is required to deliver in this role. So dedicating 2 to 3 hours on a weekly basis to understand what's going on in the industry, and pick up one particular a technology space which you would like to explore. Just to give you an example, is I want to learn more about Kubernetes and how the Docker and imaging works. This is one simple example, right? You can take that as an example, and then learn the basics, and then try out how it works in your local machine and in the cloud, and then get good at it. That's it, right? But you are not going to do this in a regular basis to put things into production, but you will need that kind of a skill set of how it works, how I should be able to do it, and then I should be able to spin it up quickly. Like that's all is required from a technology standpoint. So some of the essential skills, what are the essential skills required for pre-sales is communication, which is non-negotiable. Like you should be able to communicate very clearly and concisely and confidently in front of so many people whom you might have met actually, or you are just meeting them for the first time. And problem solving, you need to have a natural tendency of helping and solving problems. Presentation skills, again, that's something can be augmented with AI tools. So presentation skills of storytelling is important, right? So bring in your storytelling hat, and then create a presentation. That's very important. And collaboration, empathy, and time management, because you're not going to get a lot of time from the C-suite of people, right? So your target audience are like VP of architecture, or COO or CIO, or CTO, right? Or a director and above, or procurement heads. So you will not get a lot of time. You should be able to actually tell your story within that short period of time, and also allow them to speak at the end for the questions, so that you are not missing that final nuggets, and allowing them to actually help with the next plan of action. For example, I would like to actually dedicate cut my demo even shorter, and dedicate 5 minutes of time for questions and the call to action, which is what do they want to see next? And if possible, I will even put the calendar time, right? So which is when should I meet next? When are you available next? So that's the level of proactiveness you need in this role to be successful. So we will break down with multiple scenarios as we get into more sessions, right? So let's talk about what is the level of technical skills required, right? So the technical skills is proficiency in knowing what you are speaking, and quickly able to build a demo. Like it's not just like you are actually building a production system, making it perfect, but you need to have a workable solution, just a quick demo, right? Happy path. You don't have to handle all different exceptions. If you're able to handle a very minimal workable solution, that's good enough. And industry knowledge is, again, it's really important, right? So competitor, what our competitors are doing, and how is the industry trending, and what is this, how is our product actually is differentiated from others. Like at the same time, I hate actually putting other products down, and again, that's not a good practice. So we should always say hey, our product is good for you because you have a unique problem, and we have a unique proposition to solve this scenario, and this is why you should go for it, right? So that is the problem solving approach you should take, and we will explore more winning strategies. All right, let's jump into how typically I do this demo creations, right? So the demo creations is like um, the 30 minutes of the demo typically are 45 minutes of the demo that happens is something what everybody sees. But what happens behind the scenes is the 90% of the effort. The effort goes into preparing a lot. Like if you want to pull off a 30 minutes, 45 minutes successful demo, you have to put this 90% effort to be there as a successful presentation outcome. So what are the different things, identifying and doing the use case specific research flow, and persona analysis. What is their current target persona? Who's is it a person who is actually an approver or a credit card issuer, or who's that persona, right? So, and then create a demo script. So this might actually sound very new to people who are coming from the software development and engineering, or business analyst. It's extremely important to actually create a demo script, and then practice the demo script either by yourself or with another person, and then anticipate some of the questions and the objections, and position them in the demo, and then do if you're actually doing it as a demo where more people are talking, multiple people are talking, then you actually need more practice sessions to do this handoff and take over, who's going to speak when, and how much time we are going to actually allocate for each sections in the agenda. Everything needs to be broken down, and people needs to know when, who's speaking, who's doing the screen share, etc. So there's a lot of homework goes into demo preparation as we do this. And with the AI, we don't need to actually invest so much of time to prepare for the demo. We can still cut down some level of demo preparation using AI. So how can we use AI? How can we use the power of AI to break this down and make this demo much more easier and quicker, right? So because as I said, every day, almost every day I do a demo, right? Because I said maybe 3 to 5 demos is what a weekly pace I'm going with, and it's just a demo, right? Then comes the POCs, etc. So researching can be brought down, and persona analysis can be brought down, competitor analysis can be brought down, and then I can actually review my flow of the demo. So if based on whatever the approved large language model or the chat interface that your organization, the enterprise has approved, it could be Copilot, it could be anything, right? So use those large language models and agents to assist you to cut down these activities. That's where the AI power comes in, and you can do a quick run, and then deliver multiple demos within short period of time. Next.
One point I just wanted to add, Raji, thank you so much for sharing that, folks. Demo can be a big make or break in large enterprise companies. My experience with enterprise companies If that demo goes well, then there is a good chance of actually having further conversations and getting anywhere close to eventually closing the sale. If the demo does not go well, then the likelihood of them getting back to you and your company's products significantly reduces. So just another thing I just wanted to share because we personally bought a lot of products. I've seen the impact of really powerful demos, right? Just want to double down on that. So thank you so much for sharing that, Raji.
Yeah, definitely. Like, sometimes what happens is like, a successful demo can actually bring in a cascading wins as well, right? You wouldn't have actually anticipated another deal coming through because within the enterprises, people speak, like people talk to each other, right? So one group might have actually seen the demo, and then like they would have actually spoken to another group and then said like, hey, you guys know we did this and we saw this demo, it was interesting. So it's a ripple effect, right? So we should remember that, and this is definitely a make or break, and then like a brand image. You are representing your company here, and your brand image is put in the spot there. Somebody is going to judge it, right? So it's so important you do this right preparation to deliver a demo in a much more convincing and appropriate way. All right, so quickly jumping into final section, this is something that as a sales engineers, some of the objections might be technical objections, and some of the objections might be like, pricing objections, or some of the objections can be like, a different past experience based objections, right? So we should be able to pick up what is that we can respond as a sales engineer, and acknowledge, right? We don't have to address all the objections immediately. You may have an answer or you may not have an answer, right? So be prepared to actually hear uncomfortable questions, right? So you are going to be put in a spot where you are going to be questioned. If you are a person who don't like hearing any uncomfortable questions, this is going to be hard for you. So get used to it, right? So, but then like, we all need a reality check. We all need to be actually grounded and like stay true to what is real, right? So this is a real testing moment, like where the sales engineers also handle objections. And if they cannot handle objections, like that is an objection for, let's say, a pricing objection, like you don't handle a pricing objection, but at the same time you should be able to handle that question in a graceful way, and then address it in saying way like, hey, I'm going to pass it on to somebody else who will come back and actually answer you. So I've given some examples of like some of the objections examples, but then like once you join the actual cohort, like we will break down a lot of objections, and then like help you with appropriate scenarios of how you can handle them, right? Again, some of the objections you can anticipate, some of the objections you cannot anticipate. So, but it is always good to be prepared, right? So that's what I do. So most of the objections will come from a technical objection standpoint. It will actually come from a competitive analysis. The customers might have seen certain things like from other places, and they will actually come and ask you this. Hey, they may not tell you directly, like, why this is not there, why this capability is not there, is what they will ask. Like, they may not say, hey, that product has this. So you should, if you have done enough reading of what your competitor product does, and like, what they do not have, and at the same time, what your product roadmap has, and what is the alternate story of why or how it can be adjudicated in your product, then you will be able to handle this question in a smart way. If not, like always, like go back and speak to people, SMEs and product team, and then you can always come back and address this question back to them. But then it's very important to listen, validate, and address it, and then revert back and close it. All right, so this is a very, very interesting and important topic. So if you know what is the risk and reward and the compensation reality. So imagine a profession which can actually give you a boost of additional expanded bonuses the moment you are able to actually hit your target. Of course, you're not responsible for a lot of targets, but your sales guys are responsible for the dollar value realization in their targets. When you help them, you help yourself as well. So you are part of the sales organization. So it comes with the perk of being in the sales organization. So imagine your base salary is 100,000. I can bet you any of the software engineering jobs, probably the compensation structure in FANG might be different with your stock and salary. But apart from those FANG or early stage equity based startups, any of the other delivery based or full-time roles just have a base salary, and it comes with a very small incentive of maybe 10% or 5%. But then if you look at the tech sales engineer role, it comes with a variable incentive where you can actually make, when you meet the targets, you get additional, for example, 30% of your base salary. And the story does not end there. So if you are able to go beyond the on target earnings and achieve more, which means you are able to work together with your seller and make more sale, you will be able to get even more additional beyond your 30% of the quota as well, right? So it's based on the compensation structure, it is derived, and then you can set, right? So I'll be honest with you, there are times I was able to achieve almost more than 30% of my incentives that was set, right? So you have a capacity to go over and make more money as well. So that's the crux of this slide. Basically, if you're a person who's really confident and trusting yourself, and you have these qualities, this is a place where you can actually make that extra buck and make that extra money where in whatever phase or in your career phase, right? You could be early, or it could be in the principal, or it could be anywhere, right? So you want to make some extra money, you think you are capable of it, don't miss this opportunity. All right, so this is how as your first 90 days as a sales engineer will look like. I would not like to boil this. This is a busy slide, but I'm going to leave this and take it away, and then you can read it. So essentially what is required is there is a lot of learning, continuous learning that is required on the initial part of the days. Anywhere you go into a sales organization, this is a sales training, and then you will be given resources and time to actually ramp up. So the learning has to happen, and it is not always just a one-time activity. It is a continuous activity. So every quarter, every year, the strategy changes and the product evolves. You need to keep learning. That's very important. And the second step is to practice what you learned. And it's not learn and forget. You have to practice. You need to be able to articulate what you learned. And the third is perform, right? So no, you should be able to practice what you have learned, and then showcase it to others in a much more convincing way, but meaning you need to walk the talk, right? So where you need to actually be sounding like an expert when you're actually explaining it to others. So that's the whole message here, right? So learn, practice, and perform. So these are the 3 steps that's really required, and you need to repeat this cycle multiple times in your life, maybe within a year as well. All right, so one of the biggest roadblock to be if you want to be successful in the tech sales role, you have to overcome this problem. So this is a real problem, which is an imposter syndrome. So you may think you are not capable enough, you are not good enough to be out there, right? So you're not good enough more than somebody else. You need to get away, stop thinking about that. And then I tell this to some of my girlfriends, who think about this imposter syndrome, hey, come on, you can do this, chin up, always wear this invisible crown in your head. So how do you behave when you are actually wearing an invisible crown? Like, a crown in your head. You can't bend down, right? The crown is going to fall off. So always keep your chin up and don't let this crown fall on the ground. So you know what you're doing. So you should be doing that. So you can do that, right? So that's a very important capability to be successful in this role. But if you're feeling that imposter syndrome, it's quite normal. So that's why you need a community of sales engineers to actually talk to each other, sometimes like a sounding board, just like I talk to my girlfriend and say, where there's invisible crown, go, you can rock it, right? So that's the message, right? So always, you also wear it. All right. So next is like, what's the next steps, right? So build your foundation, practice and network and apply for jobs. So I want to break down a little bit on this role, right? So for example, there are two roles which I wanted to break down. Is okay. So I'm not talking about roles which do not exist anywhere. So this is a role that was published by IBM, which is a senior solution engineer. They're hiring for a senior solution engineer, and this is a real opening which you can explore and apply. Okay, so if you look at whatever the criteria that I explained and talked about, us all called out. And this is another opportunity. Look at this. This is in Canada. So I know a lot of our audience are in Canada. So this is a Salesforce is actually hiring for all levels. You can see, imagine like, how they are trying to expand. And think about the job market right now. But these are all the openings that exist across all levels. So you should be able to grab these opportunities, like showcase what skills you got, and then apply and land interviews. Okay, next. Finally, I think I am done with my session. I have shared whatever the knowledge and the experience I have gained out of my tech sales journey. But it does not end here, right? So the message is like, we are actually opening up the a session of a cohort-based learning to help you all to land a job in tech sales industry. So if you want to break into tech sales industry as an engineer, sales engineer, scan this QR code and enroll for our upcoming cohort. So the cohort is actually starting in February now, and I will finish the session now and opening up for questions. So any
Awesome.
questions?
Yeah, awesome, Raji. First of all, thank you so much. That was one of the best presentations I've seen on tech sales. So it's getting into so much minute detail. So I think that was phenomenal. I just wanted to thank you once again for that. And yeah, open to questions now from everybody here. And this is a nice little closed group, so you can feel free to unmute, you know, and feel free to ask any questions. I think it's a great opportunity. I think there was one question from Cassandra in the meantime, which she had asked a little earlier, and that was around, um, I think something along the lines of a LinkedIn, sort of how a LinkedIn should look for sales tech roles. Cassandra, why don't you go ahead and ask that question?
Yeah.
And the other-
So I used to be more back end. I dipped a bit into business, but right now my profile is a bit of a joke on how Gen I stole all software engineers. So it's that hamburger cat that I had to go apply to McDonald's because there's no there's no jobs. But that's why this is kind of interesting, right? So you don't have to go to McDonald's. I think sales engineer would be better. So if there's anything that sort of helps sell, like have that sort of, they have that corporate kind of branding where someone will see it and go, sales engineer when they see that profile. The banner at the top, that sort of thing is kind of what I thought. Or just a certain flow, like when they read your profile, they read the description and goes, this is a sales engineer when I look at it. That's kind of what I meant by resources.
That's a great question, Cassandra. So I would say you need to build your profile to showcase that you are a trusted advisor. You're a person who bring value and add value to the customer wherever who in their journey, right? So that's the key takeaway that they should hear from your profile. And then, like, if you're specifically looking at breaking into an industry of tech sales, like for example, you want to actually position yourself as a sales engineer in the data space, then we need to have a different level of skill set, of technical skill set, of showcasing how you are a data leader, how you are actually a data practitioner. Or it could be, let's say, for example, you are positioning yourself as a cloud specialist. So then we need to build your resume and profile in a specific way, aligning to the technical skills that are required. That's number one. And number two is like you're a problem solver. That's something we need to break down your profile and say, like, how you have solved problems. That's the second thing we need to focus on. And then, like, amplify and communicate, right? So how the tech sales world you can actually work is go get connected with the other tech sellers, and that way, like, you will be like closed within the ecosystem. So then once you are within the ecosystem, you will actually start hearing more about like what others are doing and how you can actually differentiate yourself and stand out in the market as well.
Okay, yeah, that's great, because I know that you can obviously do ChatGPT and there's sometimes prompts. Are there any prompts that you might think that would be good to throw in there? I've already just wrote down some of the things you said that will help me kind of brainstorm ideas, but if there's any kind of prompts that I could throw in there, just general ideas like buzzwords like you gave me. I like data leader, cloud specialist, just things like that. If you have a list of those, I don't know because there's the course, but if you have a list on your LinkedIn, that would be really helpful.
I do not have a list, but we do have a list of prompt libraries that might be actually useful for tech sellers. That is something we have curated as part of the course. So, I highly recommend you to join the course, enroll, and then you will be able to go through the entire process, as well as get all the prompts that might actually help you. Like the example which we saw on the demo, how can you cut down the demo? How can you actually cut down the time taken to do competitor analysis, etc. Right? So we have put together some prompts for that, tried and iterated. So yes, you can actually get a prompt easily, but then, like, these are some things that which we have tried and iterated and polished it after several iterations. So you're going to actually get a jump start by doing that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Perfect. And if there's anything more specific and customized, feel free to like reach out to us later on LinkedIn as well, and we can see how best we can help you there. Right? That'll also be perfect. Someone's asking, is there a recording for this session? I kind of overlooked the time zone. No worries. Whoever's calling from the iPhone, yes, the session will be recorded, and it'll be available on Maven for you to see after. In fact, whoever is registered for this call will also get access to the recording, right? So that's the advantage of this. Perfect. Maybe we have time for maybe like one more question. If anybody has anything specific, again, feel free to unmute and ask any questions. A nice little closed group here, so feel free to do that. Let's see if we got a message. Okay, sounds good. So I think I don't think I saw any other questions in the chat. So I think we should be good. Was there anything else from anybody here on the call? Drishti, Yogya, Karthi, I see Himavati.
Hi.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I will be graduating this year and will be starting off, I guess, my career in starting summer. So what would be a good start if you're applying for a role such as sales engineering or sales engineering?
You can
Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, we can hear you. So
Okay.
Srishti, see, the sales engineer roles are even opening up at an intern level or like co-op level as well. So you could even start applying for the co-op opportunities level as well. And then the starting or the early professional hires can actually target the associate sales engineer, which is the very beginner role. They hire a lot of fresh graduates. Like all large companies, enterprises hire fresh graduates.
Okay. No, I meant in terms of, I guess, certifications that we can do, or any like specific. I know Cassandra asked this before, if there are any specific buzzwords that we can use for them to be able to pick up on your resume. Because I think more than like an experienced professional for someone who has only done, I have a year of experience, I guess, from co-op, but it is a bit more of a hassle for them to pick it up, right?
Okay, so
That's what I mean.
if you're just building out your profile, where can I start? I would start like at least at cloud. At least you should learn how cloud works and how the cloud, like, difference between like, SaaS, iPaaS, etc. Right? So that's basic, very basic. And then the second thing, which is a buzzword everywhere, right? No matter what, you cannot escape this anywhere, is like the AI. So get the fundamentals of AI and the agentic AI. That's one thing. So you are actually putting a check mark for some of the fundamental needs. But apart from that, is it the only thing? The answer is no. It depends on what is that role that you are positioning for or specializing for. So the answer might actually vary for somebody who's actually experienced. The answer might vary for someone who's actually just starting off. So this answer is for somebody who's starting off. But for someone who's actually a little bit experienced, they have to capitalize on their experience, right? Never let go of the past experience. So you should be able to find out, how can I actually use my past experience and position, and then land into this role. So that's the direction you need to think.
Awesome, everybody. I think we are just around 1 p.m. right now, EST. Thank you so much for joining wherever you're calling in from. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with all of you today. You will get the recording, as we had mentioned earlier. And then if there's anything specific, you can always reach out to us directly through LinkedIn as well, right? Once again, thank you everybody for your time. And Raji, thank you so much for that amazing in-depth presentation on tech sales engineering.
And thank you so much. Don't forget to enroll in the course.
Yeah.
You get actually a discount for everyone who joined today. When you apply the promo code of AI Tech Sales Early Bird, you get the discount. Don't miss the discount. And then there is a sale going on in the Maven as well. You get like a